The guy that you mentioned off the top. We're talking about calling numbers. We're talking about absolute star power. I mean, there's none other than Shohei Ohtani. And
absolutely incredible.
Here's where I want to start today.
That's me. My drops work too, so this is perfect.
No, he is absolutely incredible. I mean, he is, like, I was just kind of looking at, look, the Giants are in the running right now. I know the Dodgers and now the Blue Jays are the betting favorites. But why I want to start the show today with what the decision will be, the biggest decision of any free agent in MLB history in my mind, is because of what John Morosi had to say earlier on today about what could be happening with Shohei Ohtani.
This could be a very historic day in the pursuit of Shohei Ohtani. Yes, what I can say for certain is that the decision is imminent. Again, as I reported this morning, it could happen as early as today. Now, we still do not know where. That part is still unconfirmed. As of the middle of this week, there were still 5 teams involved, we believe.
So 5 teams, Spadone. One of them has to be the San Francisco Giants. That was John Morosi, MLB Network. This is the biggest free agent in the history of baseball. It's plain and simple. Like, there's no other guy. I was just going through the list of players that have had great impact, that have signed for massive amounts of money. By my estimation, I'll just start there. There's no other guy that you'd rather have as a free agent to be than Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I don't want to be this guy.
Be the guy.
Him getting that elbow injury again and having another Tommy John kind of the shine a little bit for me. Like, I'm not getting this pitcher and hitter now. I'm just getting a hitter and then maybe a pitcher down the line. Like, that's great, but doesn't that scare you a little bit? Giving all this guy all this amount of money who's had major injuries now twice on that throwing arm. Like, it was one thing if I'm paying him $500 million for all of, 2 players, basically, a Cy Young and an MVP hitter. But now just one of those? I don't know. Is it just me? 888-957-9570. Trust me, like, internationally here in America, he's a massive name. This would be a huge get for the Giants. But I'm also looking at him, taking a step back. Why would Shohei want to come here? If his whole point is to try to win another title, wouldn't I want to go to the Dodgers? Wouldn't I want to go to the Toronto Blue Jays, right? So I'm just trying to look at this from multiple angles and trying to figure out how the Giants land this guy, and maybe ultimately, maybe he grew up a fan of him. Maybe that's it. Maybe he just wants to go there and be the guy at this franchise, turn this thing around. Bob Melvin, great. Farhan Zaidi, we'll see. But it would be, to your point, the biggest, maybe free agent signing outside of Kevin Durant in Bay Area sports history, if they were indeed going to land him. But now the reports, we'll see. The Blue Jays, though, come on. The Blue Jays, Evan, that would be so unsexy if he ends up going there.
He's going to represent.
He's going out of the country. It's America's pastime, and he's going to Canada.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, apparently they got a place for him to. I mean, look, Canada's. I've never been to Canada. I've never been to Eastern Canada, but this is
Western Canada. Big Vancouver guy.
Big Vancouver guy.
Okay,
just across the border. Shohei Ohtani, number one, I'm willing to give him whatever he wants because, one, you're not getting a pitcher next year. You're still getting a hitter that is a top 3, potential top 2 MVP candidate, and he's only going to be missing his pitching for 1 season. But this isn't about what you get next year. Like, if Shohei Ohtani comes to the San Francisco Giants and that's it, that's not going to be enough for them to. They might be a playoff team, but I wouldn't consider them a surefire contender with how they're currently constructed. The other part of this, too, is the reason why Shohei Ohtani is the biggest name is because of what he brings, which is a train of fans, a train of media, a train of attention, and a symbol that the Golden State Warriors, before I even slipped there, the San Francisco Giants have not had since Buster Posey retired. They need the next stage of whatever the Giants are going to be. They have not had a face. You could say the face of their franchise right now is Farhan Zaidi, and that never goes well, in my opinion, when the general manager represents what your team is on the field, and Shohei Ohtani has a chance to change that.
So what you're saying is he has the potential to have a Bonds-like impact coming over here. And we weren't alive for that, so maybe that's unfair of me to just throw that on you, because Barry Bonds obviously came over to the Giants when I don't even know if either of us are alive. We're both 30 years old. So maybe that's extreme, but to your point, him coming over here would just be massive because who you're dealing with in this market, Stephen Curry is right over there, Evan. Christian McCaffrey. Brock Purdy is now vaulted himself as the most lovable guy in the Bay Area. And I know Stephen Curry, he's the greatest. He's cemented. But that's what you're dealing with right now. So to your point, the eyeball game would be massive for this, just for that alone. And I do think if they were to just get Ohtani, I do think a fan base would be like, you know what? If that's it, I'm cool with it. I think a lot of the fan base would be fine if they just landed. That was the one big fish they got, and then they get a bunch of, high-level guys, maybe very good, but not great. If they end up whiffing on Ohtani and end up giving Matt Chapman, $150, $200 million, I'd be very disappointed if I was a Giants fan. Very disappointed.
Well, outside of Ohtani, you need more than just a piece. Like
you do.
You would also like
but
Yamamoto.
It would help.
And that's kind of where I want to go here, because whether you believe that the Giants can get Shohei Ohtani or not, and right now they're probably third, if not fourth in the running when it comes to, the odds that are out there. The Blue Jays have moved into second place, according to John Morosi. The Dodgers have been the favorites pretty much from the time that he was expected to become a free agent and leave Anaheim. So my question to the fans out there of the Giants, of baseball in general, is if San Francisco does not get Shohei Ohtani, what comes next? What do the Giants have to do for you to still be invested in this team? 888-957-9570. And of course, we're wishing for Shohei Ohtani. Let me just put it to you like this. The biggest free agents that I can recall, Randy Johnson in 1999, signed for 5 years. He won 4 Cy Youngs, along with the World Series. Barry Bonds obviously signed for 6 years in 93, and then before he re-upped. But he immediately came in, provided an impact, generated MVP consideration, vaulted the Giants into legitimacy, whereas the beginning of the 90s, after kind of the 89-90 season, were some struggles. But in recent memory, you got Aaron Judge, of course, from last year. Mike Trout, quietly, wasn't a free agent, but extended for $426.5 million. And then Garrett Cole, 9 for $324. Like, these are the biggest names that have gone out there. And to my estimation, Spadone, the star power that surrounds those guys hasn't necessarily affected, for example, the Anaheim Angels or the New York Yankees. I think that's more because of how big the Yankees are as a brand. But Shohei Ohtani, and this is why I do think that there is a selling point to Ohtani. You asked, why would he want to come here? Well, there's a baseball team that's about to leave the Bay Area. That leaves an opening for a lot of people to attach themselves, if they're still baseball fans, to something, to a player. Not necessarily to the team, but we know how sports work. You fall in love with athletes. You fall in love with performances.
You become a stan now. I'm a Steph Curry stan. I'm a LeBron James stan.
And there's going to be a lot more stans available once the A's probably go to Las Vegas.
Hurts my soul, by the way.
It
Young
does.
Benjamin's going to leave the green and gold and become an Ohtani guy, is what you're telling me, Evan. My 4-year-old son is going to stab me in the heart. Can't believe it.
I wouldn't fault your kid for becoming an Ohtani fan. Shohei Ohtani's incredible. And this is something else too. Is, whether you want to be a Giants fan or not be a Giants fan, that's up to you. But there's fans of Stephen Curry across the globe. There's fans of LeBron James across the globe. There's already literally fans of Shohei Ohtani across the globe.
See what LeBron did in Vegas yesterday? Boy.
I actually didn't have a chance to. I was on a social engagement.
Oh, look at this guy.
Anyways,
Mr. Worldwide over here. Evan Giddings. I do live vicariously real quick to take a quick... Yeah. We'll get back to sports in a second. Evan Giddings may be the most interesting man here at 95.7 The Game. My guy is going on so many different dates a month. I live vicariously through him. I'm with my high school sweetheart
just
now.
One?
Hey, you know what? Evan Giddings. God bless him. Sam Lubman as well. These guys, hey, getting after it.
Yeah, when it comes to relationships, Spadone, I feel like you and I are diametrically opposed. Like you found your person at age, what, 14?
18, yeah. Well, 17, 18.
Might as well be 18.
Yeah, might as well.
You reap what you sow, brother.
Thanks, sir.
Meanwhile, I'm probably going to be around age 40 still looking for mine. Pretty much where the Giants are at right now. Like, the Giants are in a place where they've been looking for their next date, for their next...
Evan of the Giants, who finds their date.
A woman to woo. And the person to woo right now is Shohei Ohtani, along with, I think, a lot of other players. Like you mentioned Matt Chapman, for example. While that's not the sexiest name, while he's not a perfect player, that's absolutely an upgrade over what you have right now at third base. There are players out there right now that the Giants can go get, that they can try and trade for. I would love to see them try and go after Corbin Burns, who looks like he's going to be available for the Milwaukee Brewers. I would love to see the Giants try and make a trade for a Tyler Glasnow, who's coming off of injuries. Price might be suppressed with the Tampa Bay Rays. There are guys out there, in addition to just the bigwig free agents, that are attainable for the San Francisco Giants. And that's why I want to see this offseason, of course, begin with someone like Ohtani. That'd be awesome. But if that doesn't happen, what do Giants fans, what do baseball fans in the Bay Area want to see? 888-957-9570. I'll pose that to you.
They want Farhan Zaidi to finally get a big fish. They thought they had Carlos Correa. And then the medicals turned out, actually, no, we're good off that. And Correa actually ended the season pretty damn well for the Minnesota Twins last year. He was the leader. Made the playoff. Thank you. They made the playoffs, the Twin Cities. So they're just frustrated. They want someone to gravitate to because their own roster, I'm looking at it right now, Evan. It's J.D. Davis, Tyro Estrada, Tyler Fitzgerald, Wilmer Flores, Marco Luciano, Casey Schmidt, David Villar, Lamont Wade Jr., Brett Wisely, Conforto, Haniger, Matos. Like, none of that is doing anything for me.
Ugly is still ugly.
Thank you, Howard Eskin, 94 WIP, the king of Philadelphia sports radio.
Odyssey sister.
Thank you. It's just, they need someone to gravitate towards, and Shohei Ohtani would be massive. And if they don't, then yes, to your point, if they pivot and get a couple of those guys you said, that'd be great. But they just need to do it. I'm tired of us talking about it. It's just, until Farhan Zaidi becomes a closer, this team is going to be mired in mediocrity. That's just is Bob Myers going to be that close? Not Bob Myers, excuse me. Mike
Dunleavy Jr.
Another Golden State. No. Is Bob Melvin going to be that guy
Bob
now?
Melvin.
Is he going to gravitate over a lot of Bobs here? And Bob Myers said something wild.
Bob Spadoni.
Bob Myers got roasted yesterday by Charles Barkley. I think, we'll get the audio later.
Yes, we will.
It was hilarious. But could Bob Melvin be that guy that Farhan Zaidi could not be? For whatever reason, like they don't have a closer when it comes to these negotiations. I don't know what it is. They thought they did with Carlos Correa. Then it turns out the doctors were like, actually, not so fast, my brother. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing ultimately shakes out for the Giants. But I'm ultimately waiting for him to sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers and the flood of calls we eventually get on this station, because that's what it feels like is going to happen.
Look, I mean, and that's what is expected to happen.
And that would be a gut punch, wouldn't it? Like,
absolutely.
That would suck. Not only Mookie Betts gets traded over there, they got Freddie Freeman, and then they got it feels like they always have a plethora down there of farm guys too, just coming up and up. Like, where do they got the Trevor Bauer just like scandal, that whole thing happened, and then they didn't even skip a beat after that. Kick rocks. Yeah, we'll still, we'll win the division still. It's fine. Like, they can even absorb that because they just keep churning these guys left and right. And we were promised that Farhan Zaidi coming from that system, obviously with Andrew Friedman alongside him coming over from Tampa, of course, we thought we were going to get that, and it just hasn't been. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I understand the pessimism coming through, like the YouTube chat, Comcast business text line, 888-957-9570. Farhan's going to offer a crap deal. I've seen that out there. The Giants are not going to be able to get Ohtani, and it does feel like that's the general consensus from fans. Like, do not get your hopes up because it's probably not going to happen. On the off chance it does, I do think it wipes clean the slate of what the Giants have been unable to acquire in the past, which is, of course, we know the list of names, beginning last year with Aaron Judge, and then, of course, Bryce Harper, Giancarlo Stanton. The list just goes on of big-name free agents that have not been, or that the Giants have come in second place for. All of that gets wiped clean if and when, or if, they acquire Shohei Ohtani. But if that doesn't happen, and he goes to the Dodgers, to Spadoni's point, are you going to feel hurt? Are you going to feel like you got punched in the gut? Because I feel like a lot of fans have felt like they've been punched in the gut so many times. But to my earlier point, Shohei Ohtani is the biggest free agent in my mind in recent memory. I mean, you could go back to Reggie Jackson going from Baltimore to New York, brings a couple of World Series in the 70s to the Yankees. Like, that's a massive free agent acquisition. But in recent memory, with the type of money that we're talking about, $550, $600 million has been thrown around. In my opinion, that is more than adequate for a guy that, while to your point is not going to be pitching next season, brings such a level of limelight and star power. And immediately, if you're an organization like the San Francisco Giants that right now are kind of middling, trying to figure out exactly where they're going to go, stuck around 500, borderline playoff team. Shohei Ohtani brings an entertainment and a circus type of atmosphere that is going to immediately flood, I think, fans and their television sets with something to watch each and every night, which is what they've been devoid of, really, for the last couple of seasons. I mean, 2 years is what we're talking about here with the Giants, that have not been able to place a product on the field that makes you want to repeatedly turn your television on and say, I want to watch the Giants tonight.
Well, and just look at their own division, Evan. Like, you just had the Arizona freaking Diamondbacks in the World Series. And how did that happen? Corbin Carroll, one of their young guys, came up and was a baller, rookie of the year. And we've been waiting. We've been promised, the Lucianos, Schmidt had a nice run. Patrick Bailey had a nice run, but they couldn't sustain it, right? And then they get injuries. And Lamont Wade, he starts off, man, this guy looks like an all-star. Then he fades out. Like, they started off so strong, and I saw the vision early on last season. The bullpen was great, and then all of a sudden, it just blew up again. And then obviously Gabe Kapler's fired now. They're going to do a reset with Bob Melvin coming in. He didn't have success right down there in San Diego. So, listen, I'm just looking back at probably the other biggest free agent signing, right? And you mentioned Bryce Harper to the Phillies. It was massive. I feel like that's kind of changed the Phillies and their arc here the last few seasons, no? They went to the World Series, obviously got up short, but last year, like, you can see how infectious a guy like that, a free agent like that, can be. Can Shohei bring that to the Giants? I'd like to see it. And
it also took a couple of years. It wasn't like Bryce Harper immediately got to Philadelphia and they were making World Series and they were a team that was just, putting themselves into repeated contention. It took a while. And I think that's kind of the case with no matter what free agent comes to San Francisco. Ohtani's not going to turn around the San Francisco Giants in 1 year. What I hope that a free agent that Farhan Zaidi goes out and acquires can do is bring a legitimacy back to the Bay Area baseball scene, especially in a time that, again, is going to have, in a year or two, most likely one team. All eyes will be on the Giants in the near future, and there's going to be a lot of baseball fans that are looking to place their allegiance with some team, and I think that Shohei Ohtani or Yamamoto or even Matt Chapman, any of these players that they can go out and acquire, will move the Giants in the right direction. That's what I'm hoping to see. 888-957-9570 is the number, also the number for the Comcast Business text line. Before we hit the brakes, but let's get out to Tony in Oakland. Wants to talk about, I think, the rat on the table, which is the Giants ownership. What's up, Tone? What do you got, man? How you doing?
Brought to you by Echo.
Hey, it's all about the owners when it comes to a team. I go through phases with pretty much all of the teams in the Bay Area, and those phases just kind of jive with who's owning at the time, right? If the owners are into it, and they're making it clear to the fans that they're trying, even if they're losing, if they're freaking trying, that's exciting for me. But, if the owners are making it clear that they're just not really into it, they don't care, then, that's when I stop paying attention. Call me a fair weather fan or whatever, but if they're not into it, why should I be? And so if that's where we're headed with the Giants until things change with new ownership or whatever, I'll just do something else.
Thanks, Tony.
Fair enough.
I would, that's true. I would also say there's a lot of billionaire owners out there that don't really care about the product on the field. But
John Fisher.
Well, I mean, he's probably Exhibit A.
Yes.
But I'm saying around sports, around especially baseball, when you got those kind of grandfathered in bigwigs, like, those guys aren't necessarily invested in their teams. They just place the proper people in positions to do their job. That's the whole point of owning a team. It's to have someone to do the job for you.
Correct. That's why the A's have, before these last few seasons, they had Billy Beane in place. Hey, this is what you have to deal with financial-wise, make it work. And they did that. And I think Billy Beane actually kind of ruined a lot of that for a lot of these teams. And you're kind of seeing with the Giants a little bit, the Moneyball aspect. And it's not quite that, because the Giants had one of the highest payrolls in baseball last year. It's just the names they're bringing are kind of like Moneyball names, where it's like, we're leaning on Sean Manaea and Ross Stripling and all these guys still. It's like, come on, man. Where's the big fish we were promised, like we saw with L.A., Farhan, where you had all these guys, and he got linked, the Yoenis Cespedes. That's one of, Farhan was linked to that guy when he was with the A's. We're the international signing. So I understand the fans' frustration.
Yeah, and look, I also think part of this too is, I mean, there are ownership groups across baseball that have done their teams dirty. I mean, you look at like the Miami Marlins, for example, lowballing Kim Ang when she did a fantastic job this year of building up a Marlins team that was, a borderline playoff team, and they were irrelevant a couple of years ago.
Very odd, and that's all finances.
And now she's gone.
And now Gabe Kapler's in there apparently as an assistant.
And now he's the assistant GM.
It's like, I don't understand how that works, but okay.